So President Biden, he went out to Philadelphia today to make a big speech on voting rights. He says that the possibility of having voting restricted in the United States is the biggest test to our democracy. He issued a dire and angry warning that American democracy is under threat. He stopped short of embracing changes to Senate procedures for the Democrats to pass their voting bill. Remember, you need 60 votes to pass. We only have 50. The president's speech in Philadelphia, which is the birthplace of American democracy, it is where the Declaration of Independence was signed. It was meant as an ongoing push against restrictive voting laws that have passed around the nation in Georgia, now perhaps even in Texas. Now, since the November election, state lawmakers have enacted 28 laws in 17 states that have restricted ballot access. Can you imagine that they are making laws that make it more difficult for people to vote?
Yeah.
Not easier to vote, harder to vote. So if you make laws that make it harder for people to vote and restrict everybody from one person, one vote, which is democracy, you're basically saying we only want people who are going to vote for us to vote.
Yeah.
We don't want people who are going to vote for the other side to vote, which is what's going on in the state legislatures right now. Now, President Biden has taken particular aim at who else? The pumpkin. Because he has refused still to this day, pumpkin, to accept the results of the 2020 presidential election, accusing the pumpkin, the Republicans who follow the pumpkin, of fomenting a pattern of denial that is fracturing the country's foundations. In the news, they're calling it the big lie. The fact that President Trump says that he won the election, despite every person who is knowledgeable about elections, despite the fact that I don't know how many states have been re-audited, recounted, how many lawsuits there have been.
Did that cost money too?
Yes, this has been the most reviewed election of all time.
For no reason.
For no reason. President Biden won. And President Trump, even this past weekend,
still
talking, saying he won the election. There's even talk on the internet that come in August, he's going to be reanointed the President of the United States by magic, because they're going to realize after auditing the results that he won the election. Now, President Biden, finally, he hasn't said a word. He didn't say a word when Trump went on January 6th, the steps to the Capitol, and told everybody, go in there and don't let them vote Biden in. He has not said a word for 6 months about Trump and this big lie. He's finally came out. Finally, excuse my phrase, because I am not a gun advocate, but he came out guns blazing. Finally, he took particular aim at Trump. He said, in America, if you lose, accept the results. The big lie is just that. It's a big lie. At one point, he accused Republicans of following Trump's lead in denying the election results and for not upholding the Constitution, in which he said of all of them, have you no shame? He called the efforts to call the election into question dark, sinister, and saying they reflected human nature at its all-time worst. Biden began his speech by recounting the stories of Americans who voted in the last election despite the COVID pandemic. We forget that, right? There was no vaccine back then when the vote happened. He noted that the last election had the most votes cast in any election in American history. The president stressed the work to pass the For the People Act, as well as the John Lewis Voting Rights Advancement Act, is extraordinarily important. Passing new voting legislation in Congress, however, is going to require the passing of the filibuster, which right now they will have trouble doing. Now, in particular states, let's talk Texas. Okay? In Texas, they have passed a bill that's going to restrict voting. It's going to restrict mail-in ballots unless you get permission from the state in advance. It is going to restrict people having the ability to drive others to vote who can't drive themselves to the voting booth. It's going to allow partisans to go into neighborhoods and basically heckle people who are going to vote. It is going to reduce the number of people who can vote in particular state elections. People are not going to say, I don't want to deal with this. okay, to drive long distances,
Right.
to stay out in inclement weather, to wait on long lines. Perhaps they have illnesses or medical conditions, too bad. Now, what's happened is the Republicans control the state legislature, but the Democrats have enough people in the state legislature that if they don't show up to a vote, there's not enough quorum. Quorum meaning enough congressmen in the state legislature to actually have a vote, yes or no. Right. So the Democrats en masse in Texas have left Texas, refused to go vote because they know the Republicans are going to vote this law to restrict voting in Texas. They have all went to Washington, D.C. to speak to many of the Democratic senators who will not go in favor of the filibuster. It is only the filibuster that will actually be able to overturn these state laws and regulations. Governor Abbott of Texas has said once these Democratic legislatures come back to Texas, they will all be arrested. So the heat is really going up there. So we'll see what happens there. They're not returning to Texas, but they eventually, I guess they have to. Meanwhile, a federal judge in Pennsylvania has signaled that far-right attorneys Sidney Powell, Lin Wood, and other pro-Trump lawyers are all going to be sanctioned in Michigan for bringing frivolous lawsuits about the big lie, about the fact that there was a fraud in the election in Michigan. Powell and her co-counsels have unsuccessfully sued Michigan election officials after the election, attempting to overturn the presidential election. During a hearing yesterday over the sanctions request, U.S. District Judge Linda Parker repeatedly expressed skepticism of the pro-Trump attorneys. Parker said that one affidavit presented as evidence of election fraud. I don't think I've ever seen an affidavit that makes so many leaps in faith. This is really fantastical. This is what the judge is saying.
What?
So my question to counsel here is, how could any of you as an officer of the court present this affidavit to me? Rudy Giuliani, he's been suspended. He has been suspended from the New York bar and from the District of Columbia, Washington, D.C. bar. Giuliani, former, that crazy guy, former mayor of New York City. He is no longer able to practice law in New York where he was a mayor because he pushed this big lie that Trump had the election stolen from him. And by the way, all of these voter restrictions is a result of Donald Trump's big lie. Yeah. So all the Republicans are all looking to kowtow to this pumpkin guy, and they all want to gain his favor, which is why they are making all of these restrictions. Trump is saying the election was stolen from him, illegal voting, people shouldn't have voted who did, there was ballot stuffing. So they're using all of that as an excuse to limit people from actually coming to vote.
It's a horrible thing, but it really, really, really pisses me off, especially because of how much we, at least black people and women, have to work just to get to vote. So now that we're finally here, and it's almost like a step back. You're taking it back from us. And, obviously, I feel like it's definitely going to target impoverished neighborhoods, like lower income neighborhoods. I've already seen it in Brooklyn when I was living in Brooklyn. I saw how they would move certain stations, further away from families. So me and friends actually put together like vans and buses to start taking people. And that was just a little thing in our neighborhood that we did. So this right here is it's a huge step back, and it really irks me that they can get away with this.
Well, they'll get away with it because the Supreme Court has allowed them to get away with it recently in many decisions rolling back restrictions on the 1965 Voting Act for civil rights, on allowing money into politics. Prior to, I think it was 2011, 2012, Supreme Court, corporations were only allowed to give a certain amount of money. They weren't allowed to be all these political action committees. It was all government financed with small money from people up to $2,000 per donation. Now it's unlimited money. And it's people buying votes and people buying politicians and we have a situation where Fox News is saying one thing, CNN and MSNBC is saying another thing. Everything is extraordinarily partisan. Just bad times right now.
Yeah.
And now we have Republicans who are saying that the election was stolen from Donald Trump with absolutely no evidence whatsoever, and using that as a basis to restrict minorities, poor people, people of color from voting. Why? Because minorities, poor people, people of color are not voting Republican.
Right.
Republican.
Right. Meanwhile, my vaccine of choice, Johnson & Johnson, came out yesterday that if you get that, you have a chance of getting autoimmune disorder known as Guillain-Barré syndrome. Or
What?
Guillain-Barré syndrome. It's a very, very rare, it's a nerve disease that if you get tingling in your fingers, sometimes you lose, ability to make a fist or clench your foot or something like that. It's extraordinarily rare. It only happened in 13 people, but the FDA has come out and said that it is a possibility if you get the Johnson & Johnson shot. It's only happened in 13 people, at least documented. Maybe there's other people who are walking around with the syndrome and don't know they got it from the Johnson & Johnson vaccine.
Oh, that's scary.
At least according to my private doctor, because I called him and I was a little concerned.
Yeah.
For whatever it's worth.
What are they saying?
I don't know. I'll tell you what
doctor?
my private doctor
Yes.
said, but 100 doctors may tell you 100 different things.
Right.
But my private doctor told me, because I was concerned because I had the Johnson
Right.
Johnson shot, my private doctor told me that this disease, Guillain-Barré syndrome, happens in almost every vaccine that's given. There's always a small percentage, so it's not shocking that it would also happen in the Johnson & Johnson. It's just more the news and the FDA covering their tuchus.
I was about to say, I don't think they.
But he's telling me not to worry about it.
Not to worry.
Yeah. I won't worry until my fingers start tingling.
Yikes. I wonder
That'll
if this
be a
is going
sign.
to. I wonder if this is going to be the same for Moderna and Pfizer as
No,
well.
they're a different vaccination. It's an absolutely different vaccination, Pfizer and Moderna.
But it's still vaccination. Didn't you say he said that?
Yeah, but
this
it's
usually happens
but
to-
in other words, this is I'm not a scientist, but Johnson & Johnson is they're giving you a mutated virus that causes an antibody response. That's a dead virus.
Right.
The Moderna and the Pfizer are giving you an mRNA, if I got the initials right, which is basically some protein that gives instructions to your DNA to create antibodies. So it's a completely different,
Got you.
situation. There's actually, I didn't say 13 instances, at least according to the Washington Post, 100 instances.
Oh.
So I was wrong. More in men than women.
Oh.
Yeah. But there has been no cases of the disorder reported in trials for Pfizer and Moderna.
Okay.
He got the hint not to wear a white T-shirt. All right, so Richard Branson, did you check it out, Vanessa?
That video, yeah, I saw the video.
You didn't watch him live.
No, I didn't watch him live. I just watched the clip afterwards.
I was too poor to watch it on live.
Why? You didn't have to pay for it, did you?
No, but he's on a way different tax bracket.
Okay. So on Sunday, after nearly 17 years of development and over $1 billion invested in Virgin Galactic, Branson achieved his dream and reached space. I feel like the guy spent like $1 billion so he can take a roller coaster ride. Basically, right? I mean, I got so much money. I'm just going to build a roller coaster. I'd like to have a fun ride.
Yeah, but
Right?
an out of this world roller coaster.
Yeah.
That's
An
wild.
out of this world roller coaster.
He said it was the complete experience of a lifetime.
I'm sure.
I dreamt of this moment since I was a kid, and honestly, nothing could prepare you for the view of Earth from space. The company's spacecraft,
Wow.
the VSS Unity, launched above the skies of New Mexico from the Spaceport America in Los Cruces. Branson and 5 of his colleagues, 2 pilots, 3 other mission specialists, were on board. Vanessa, you can book your ticket. They are taking tickets now. $250,000 a seat.
Wow.
Quarter of
reasonable.
$1,000,000 a seat.
Reasonable.
Very reasonable, like, because Richard Branson doesn't need, he doesn't need to charge an arm and a leg. He just needs to charge like 75 million bodies, right? Just not an arm and a leg, like bodies and bodies and bodies. I mean, what does he need the money for? $250,000. Why is he even charging? He should just be giving it for free.
Right.
All right, let everyone go into space for free. I'm waiting for the billionaire to do that.
If you had the money.
If I had the money.
That you didn't have to care about any costs.
Yeah.
Would you have taken this?
Yes, not on this particular flight, no.
Oh, you talking about like the first one?
No, I would never go on the first one.
We don't want that.
Okay, no. But if you told me, you know what, this Virgin Galactic thing, it went up and down, 50 times, everyone seems to be alive, it's a lot of fun, and it was reasonable price, sure, why not, right? Wouldn't you do it?
Right.
But not for $250,000. No way.
250,000.
Way. 250,000. Not even 150,000. You know how many consultations that is? And $150 a consultation. It's a lot of consultations to go fly into space for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
A lot.
Yeah, it's a lot of consultations. I thought the most interesting thing, Vanessa, was everything, and everyone thought everything was really interesting. But to me, what was the most wild thing is there was a picture in the newspaper at 3 a.m. of Elon Musk in Richard Branson's kitchen, barefoot, wishing him good luck. I'm like, okay, you don't see that one every day.
You don't.
Why? I wasn't expecting that one. Elon Musk barefoot in Richard Branson's kitchen at 3 a.m.
Listen, friends.
What's up with that?
They're brothers. They're like brothers.
What is up with that?
Maybe that's a close friendship right there.
All right, well, according to Elon Musk's PR people, he flew into Las Cruces, New Mexico on Saturday evening and was up early the following morning to wish Richard Branson well and witness the launch. And there was a quote from his PR people. It was so great from Richard Branson. It was so great to find Elon in my kitchen at 3 o'clock in the morning. Richard Branson said after the space flight, the Wall Street Journal reported on Sunday that Musk had bought a ticket for a future ride.
Oh.
Yeah, so he was dropping off his check to Richard Branson.
That's wild. Rich people things.
Next ride.
Yeah, rich people problems. There was not a seat on this particular flight.
Right.
He was on standby. Elon Musk came in if somebody was going to not show up for the...
Just in case.
I guarantee you, right? Don't you think he just showed up and
do you have to do some kind of training or something?
No, you just get in the seat and fly up there. You're not flying.
But he was I think he was floating and stuff too, right?
Yeah, but the whole idea behind this is that
anybody can do
it. This is the first time. You don't need to be an astronaut.
That would feel so dope, though. That would feel
right.
Cool.
So what this is really all about is passenger experience going into space. That you, as just a regular guy with $250,000, you don't need astronaut training. You don't need to go to NASA. You don't need. You just show up. You get in your seat and you fly into space. So this is what's called commercial space travel. So this is going to go down as the first commercial, meaning popular, non-astronaut space travel in the history. And Richard Branson wanted to beat Jeff Bezos to it. And he did it. And I really believe Elon Musk showed up as the standby, he's sitting there in standby, when you're first on standby if somebody doesn't show up. I really believe somebody doesn't show up, Elon Musk is I'll be there.
Right.
He's hanging out in Richard Branson's kitchen. I already gave you my check for $250. Meanwhile, Nick Cannon, what's your thoughts on this?
He is building his own city of kids.
He became a father of 7 on June 23rd when his presumed current girlfriend, Alyssa Scott, gave birth to baby boy. Alyssa shared the news on her Instagram account and revealed the child's name is Zen.
But I think those twins he had a week before.
Right. Now, the news makes Nick...
I am not caught up on Nick Cannon.
You're not. All right, so let me fill you in. Okay. So he's 40 years old. And he's the father of 3 newborns as his ex-girlfriend, Abby De La Rosa, welcomed their twins on June 14th. And I will love you for eternity. June 23rd, 21. Alyssa captioned the post by adding the baby's birthday. Abby De La Rosa pulling the Richard Branson in the kids race, giving birth 1 week before Alyssa Scott. Yeah. Kind of like Richard Branson pulling off the space thing 1 week before Bezos.
Yeah. I haven't seen this since Lil Wayne had got like 3 different women pregnant at the same time. I think it was like Lauren London, Nivea, and like they all became like real good friends while they were pregnant because the whole world was laughing at them. So who else to look to than your sister wives?
What do the women think of all of this? I mean, if you're a woman, what would you think? You
having kids with somebody who has his own freaking like zip code, low key. Nick Cannon is doing big, huge things. So it's like, you know, you having babies with a rich man who your life, the kid's life, everybody's life is going to be fine.
As long as he keeps making the money.
Well, he will. He owns so much, though. He owns a lot. He owns Wildin' Out. Like he does Wildin' Out. He has radio shows. He hosts everything. He's like a young
but does he? What does he actually own? I know he's very popular.
I can check.
Okay, I'm not saying he's not popular. I know what he does, but what does he actually own? You know.
I think is it Nickelodeon?
He owns Nickelodeon.
I think he doesn't.
Right. Producer. Yeah, he produces a bunch of stuff on a couple of different programmings too. But
so as a woman, what do you think? What do you think? I mean, a woman gives birth, all right, that she's taken care of for life now by Nick Cannon. Or she's like mad, like, what is this? What is this Abby De La Rosa giving twins and I only got one?
They are good for life.
You definitely know who you're getting yourself. Like, you know, these women have to know who they're dealing with. Like, I don't know what false promises Nick Cannon gave these women, like, for us to all end up here. But they know what they're getting themselves into. And they had known that they were pregnant at the same time. It's just modern day. Now, like, it's not okay, but they know what they got themselves into.
Now, about 6 weeks before Alyssa gave birth, she was calling Nick Cannon a player.
Well,
you are. I mean, I don't think there's any doubt about that.
Yeah.
So Nicky has 2 sets of twins. He shares his oldest children, 10-year-old twins Monroe and Moroccan Scott, with ex-wife Mariah Carey.
Mm-hmm. They have twins as well. Oh, yeah. So he's the Nickelodeon. The network was rebranded as Teen Nick with him as chairman in 2009. So this man has his hands in just every bucket and
all the right pots.
Yeah, like now, they're good for life. I'm just telling you, they good for life. But I just don't.
Now,
on
Power 106 Los Angeles radio show, the masked singer host said he's having these kids on purpose after City Girls rapper JT advised him to wrap it up, a nod to using a condom. Obviously, he's not using no condom, and I think he's going to get, there's a famous book, Cheaper by the Dozen, where, one guy had 12 kids. I think he may be cheaper than 2 dozen by the time he's done.
Listen, he says that these women did not get pregnant on accident. He said he knows what he's doing. Well, we just don't know
He's calling himself a seahorse. He says, I'm like a seahorse out there. That's just the way I'm procreating. Literally.
That's not, yeah. But that's not, it's wild to me because he says it like it's attractive though. Like that's not, is that something that y'all look for? Like, man, that just be.
To each its own.
Spreading the sperm.
Now, besides that, he had his own little incident back in 2020 when he was thrown off the show Wildin' Out and fired by Viacom for some anti-Semitic comments he made on a podcast. Now, according to Viacom, Cannon has since apologized. He has taken responsibility for his comments, and he's learned how to become a more effective advocate, for whatever that means. Who knows? Who knows? All I know is the man can't keep his pants on or off.
Right.
Well, whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
I don't know, Vanessa. I don't know.
3 kids in 2 weeks
with 2 different women.
I told you the last time I heard something like that was Lil Wayne.
Yeah. It's been a while. But
You
it
know,
still happens.
I'm telling you, the more kids you have, the more work you're gonna do.
Right.
All right. I'm sorry.
Such
Okay.
men need to fill the world with more.
All right. He just better hope he's working a long time, this guy, because these women are going to want a lot of money from him.
Absolutely.
These kids are going to want a lot of money from him, and as long as he's making the money, everything's all fun and games.
So you get that child support.
Right, but as they all say, everything sucks when you got no bucks.
Right.
Right? So I hope this guy keeps making money.
For the kids' sake.
For the kids' sake. For the mother's sake.
For everyone's sake.
For everybody's sake.
Healthy
Yeah.
sake.
And talking about, laughing with a lot of money, here's another guy with lots of money, Drake.
Mm-hmm.
All right, did you see he rented out Dodger Stadium for a...
I did.
Oh, he did not rent it out. I thought he rented it out.
But he had a private dinner on the field, right?
Okay, so Drake took full advantage of the Dodgers being out of town on Thursday. I actually read that he rented it out, but according to these cards, he didn't. Setting up a date on Los Angeles field with Johanna Leia, and the whole thing looked like it was taken right out of a Drake song. Turns out Drake didn't technically rent out the stadium.
So what, they just hooked him up?
Yeah, they just hooked him up. Now, but and what happened was he was having a date there on the infield of Dodger Stadium, and somebody came by with a drone and said, "Whoa! Is that Drake on a date with some random?"
Look at them looking up.
Yeah, with
too,
some random woman that nobody knew even know who she was.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, it was a helicopter, not a drone.
It was a helicopter.
It was a helicopter camera spotted the 34-year-old at a table with Leah near the dugout on the third base side of the field. And there was a white tablecloth, multiple dishes, flowers, even a personal bartender for the couple. Man, that's a date. That is a date.
How do you have a personal bartender?
What do you think is, by the way, what do you think is going through this woman's mind? She's
used to it.
Okay. She's used to it?
I bet so. If you're hanging, look at her. And then you're hanging with Drake.
All right. So let me tell you who if you're unfamiliar, I'm unfamiliar who she is. Okay, Leia is the mother of Sierra Canyon star and UCLA commitment Amari Bailey, who's teammates with LeBron's James' son, Bronny James. So she's the mother of some college hoops.
Basketball players.
Basketball players.
Jokes about this because there was a basketball game where Drake is on the sideline and it's the young boys basketball game, but the mom was there.
Yep.
Sidelines too, like
that
cheering
one.
the sun. There it is.
Right. That's the woman he went out with.
Yes.
But can you imagine, even if she's well known or whatever? So obviously she's been on multiple dates with him. But can you imagine that as like, Drake picked me up. We had a table at Dodger Stadium, tablecloth, butler service. I mean, it's got to be like almost like a fantasy, right? Like almost like I can't believe this is happening to me. Pinch me.
I feel like it's a fantasy when you actually get it with somebody that you like, because there's a lot of girls out there that get it from guys that they don't, but they just do it because it's like, all right. But like to do it with somebody that you actually
well, how do you know
sexy,
she likes him? Maybe she's just doing it. You don't know. You don't know.
That would be wild,
right? Just because you don't like Drew, I don't know.
That would be wild.
Yeah. You know, my son.
She may like him.
I'm pretty sure too.
I'm gonna call out my son because he just blasts Drake every day in the house, and he told me, he goes, there's only one person in the world I would take a bullet for, and that's Drake.
Oh. Wow. Diehard fan.
He's diehard fan. There's lots of diehard people love Drake.
Yeah.
People love him.
Yeah.
I go, I don't know if I'd take a bullet for him. I don't know.
I know I wouldn't.
I said, I'm not sure. I mean, I'm sure I like his music, but I don't know if I'm taking a bullet for Drake.
Please. You don't know who we are.
You ain't taking one from me.
Who would be your fantasy date in Dodger Stadium?
Oh, wow. Okay. See, I used to be prepared for this. You know what? It's too bad that Mike. I'm a big Michael B. Jordan sort of. That's
Lori
kind of
Harvey. Lori Harvey gonna fight you.
Oh.
I'm definitely
I know mine.
kind of girl. I definitely love that Toronto swag. I don't know, man.
Lori Harvey will fight you for that. You want to know mine?
Yeah.
Oprah. I want a
Really?
sugar mama. Sugar mama.
Oh.
Wow, Yo-Yo wants to retire.
There you go.
Step aside, Stedman.
Think smarter,
Get
not
out of
harder.
here, Stedman.
Oprah, where you at?
You're right. I am thinking
well then.
That's my dream
Well,
date.
you know what? I'm gonna change that.
Okay.
All right, I'll take Queen Elizabeth. She's
There
only
you-
got a year or two.
listen.
She's only got a couple years left, right? She can't be around for too much
Listen,
longer.
Queenie.
Right?
What's
You're
up,
listening,
baby?
Queenie.
They do it to us. Why we can't do it?
And by the way, Jessica Leamy, she wants to have Idris Elba at Dodger Stadium.
Oh, okay.
All right, Idris Elba for Jessica Leamy. Queen. Give me a call. I'll still do the Bradshaw Live. Don't worry.
Oh, please. At the Buckingham Palace.
Buckingham Palace. Can you imagine? they're like, Queen. Who invited this guy? No, I've been practicing my tea. I've been practicing.
There
Look,
you go.
I've been practicing. Thanks for watching. For more Bradshaw Live, like and subscribe to our YouTube channel.